Doesn't matter as much as it used to. I think there's rules that protect quarterbacks, that protect offense. I don't know how other people see it, but I think I see it pretty well. Pretty quick. And my hands are going to look large. So.
Malkin said your ability to play without needing the reps would be one of your best attributes going to the NFL. His back is going to get reps.
Yeah, amongst an NFL guy, I don't think that would be my best attribute for the team. Because my football playing skills would probably be the best. But yeah, I mean that is true. But again, who knows? You're getting me sidetracked right now. I'm thinking about NFL. I got a game to think about. So.
Let's talk about the game. How's the week of preparation been here in Atlanta?
It's been good. I tell these folks I'm ready to get out of here. But yeah, it's been really good. Getting 5 back on track. Working hard, getting everybody healthy. Just seeing the space in the dome helps a lot.
Sorry guys, Stetson's not taking interviews from now right now. So Stetson, you have the nickname Steclavius Bennett. It came before the Oregon game. Can you tell me where that name came from?
Yeah, you want me to get Coach Scott over here and tell me where you want me to get in trouble for that?
No, we're not going to get in trouble anymore. This is outside information. People know that your name is Steclavius. They all saw the video.
Yeah.
What great mind came up with the name Steclavius Bennett?
That would be you, my brother. That would be Warren Brinson, number 97.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate the name Steclavius Bennett? Is it something that's going to stick for your career? Like, you went from the mailman to the milkman. Mm-hmm. Can we go from the milkman to Steclavius?
You think I should make a commercial about Steclavius? I don't know what I'd be selling.
Maybe a nice haircut, nice cuts commercial.
Okay, all right. Well, if you can, all right, I'll talk. Yeah, right there on the side.
Where did it come from?
Where did it come from? Can you say the name of the guy who originated the name?
Warren Brinson.
That's all we need right there. Warren Brinson came up with.
All right, back to a football question right quick. When you see Ohio State load the box up against Michigan like they did and kind of put it in McCarthy's hands, do you think maybe, hey, that might be something that they do to me, or if they would, this is how I would respond? When you see a team loading the box, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I think man or one has own, and I think back to what play we've got called and how we're going to beat it, how they're going to stop that with what they're doing here, what can they do from here, and then you just play football. I think about what they're doing, then I try not to get in my way by thinking about it. But yeah, they might, and they might not. But that's why you look at all games and you study all, and you've got a plan for however way. And even if you don't have a plan, then you just fall back on your pace.
I once heard someone describe your game as on demand, in the sense that they don't call on you all game long, they don't lean on you all game long, but when you're needed, you're there, you show up. How do you practice that? How do you assimilate that? Or are you just always on?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess when it needs to happen, the brain goes clear, and you see what you have to see to make it happen. I don't really know. I do. Some things I think are left better not figured out. I don't. Why in a play do I see somebody when I don't really see it? Sometimes I'm like to make a throw and I'm like, how did I do that? I would think about that, just threw it, and that's fine. I'm not going to try to figure that out. I'm not going to try to. Just going to keep doing it until the good Lord tells me that I can't find it.
And I assume you take that approach with your career. You're going to keep playing football as long as you can play it.
Football shape is different.
Looks like Zion Williamson kind of. Hey, quick question. I mean, you just like everybody else at Georgia, you had to wait your turn. Devontae Wyatt played here for 2 years at defensive tackle. What'd you learn from him, and what'd you learn about waiting your turn, being patient?
I think I'm always a patient guy. I never be like, oh, I'm better than this guy, better than that guy. I should be starting with this guy, that guy. waiting my turn is probably the best thing I could do, because them guys came out to be first rounders. If I was always saying I'm better than them, then it would look bad, because they first round, and if I didn't go first round, it would look bad on me.
Have you had any injuries today, and was this your first year kind of struggling through one? And what was that kind of mentality for the first time having to deal with something like that?
It's not really my first time having like a big injury, but I didn't let it get to me. My mom and teammates motivated me and kept me straight on, kept my head straight.
When you're playing an air raid team like this, not an air raid team, but a team that can really get after it through the air, how much of an emphasis is it on you to win and win now?
It's a big emphasis. I really like playing teams. I like throwing the ball. I think it gives me more a chance to show my pass rush moves. Because a lot of people say I can't stop the run, but I think I can show more with my pass rush.
What's the process after the season to evaluate, do I go to the next level or whatever?
You said that?
I said, what's the process now, after the season for, do I go to the next level and all that stuff, NFL?
Right now, it's just, I'm not even thinking about it that much right now. But I feel like, after the season, I'll probably have my mind more on the NFL and like, all right, I got to do this and that. Right now, it's not nothing big.
What kind of teammate are you?
After the season? I don't know. I think my mom and my dad. I don't know. Yes, sir. My mom actually played basketball in high school. And I think my dad played.
Jalen, I want to give you the chance to answer. What kind of teammate are you?
I know I'm a good teammate. I was trying to think of a word, but I can always say I'm a good teammate. You can ask any other teammate. They also say I'm a good teammate. I'm a loving teammate. I'm always going to take care of anybody I see. You can be a walk-on. I'm still treat you like you got a full ride, like you're my best friend or anything like that.
Appreciate you, bro.
I value what we put out there on the field.
Reputation is demanding, practice fields and things like that. How do you balance that with making sure, you're not pushing them too far, turning them off, that type of thing?
Yeah, I don't worry about that. I do what I tell them I'm going to do when I'm in their home. And I tell their parents what I'm going to do. You push them and be demanding. And if you're right with them off the field and you connect, they got to know you care about them before they care what you tell them. So we spend a lot of time investing in our players. I spend a lot of time investing in those relationships, and I expect them to enjoy the demanding part, because the guys who've left have flourished because of the demanding parts we put into our program. I really don't think it's different anywhere else. I don't know how other people do it, but I do know that's how we're going to do it here. And I hope one day they appreciate it, because the guys that have left have told me they appreciate it.
Yeah, Stetson said guys who want to come here, the guys that want to come here want to be coached. That's part of the success. Secret of the success you guys are having.
You hope so. You hope you choose the right guys with the right kind of hardwiring.
Coach, I'm curious, game 14 of the year, how do you make sure your guys are peaking physically at this point in the year? Even though, I had a couple of weeks off, but how do you make sure you're physically peaking?
Well, you have to ramp up. You got to go ramp down, ramp up. There's stages within those 28 days where we took time off, we lifted weights, we didn't hit, and then there's times where we did hit and we did ramp up. And you hope you balance it the right way as a coach. It's tough. Because you don't want to have a team that's not prepared out there. And I talked earlier when I first started today, it's 28 days between games for us. That's a long time, and the management of that is so critical. And I think it's why you see sometimes sloppiness in bowl games, is that layoff, and you try to avoid that as a coach.
Two-parter here. What can you guys learn defensively from the LSU game, and what can maybe you take from the successes that Michigan had offensively against that Ohio State defense?
Well, I think anytime you watch a film, you're looking for ideas and things, and it may be people. Every offensive coordinator I know has copycats, and every defensive coordinator I know has copycats, meaning they copy what another team did. You'd be foolish to think that the other team didn't work on the same things as well, because people know how you're going to attack them, and it boils down to, can you do it better than they do it, and do your players respond and get better at their weaknesses? And we certainly showed a lot of weaknesses in the LSU game. I think in both situations you reference, it's not as good as it seems, and it's not as bad as it seems. People make up the Michigan game, but that was really a close game, and Ohio State started playing a different way. Ohio State started playing to get the ball back, to do things, and that made the score like it did. Same way with LSU. We didn't play our best game, but there were plays that we had people in position to make the play. We just didn't have to play. So you have to make those plays when you have an opportunity and get the ball down or intercept the ball. Some of that gets blown out of proportion both ways. How do you rein a player in like Malachi Starks, who's trying to make extreme highlight plays, can make those plays, you've seen him make them, but sometimes, hey, might miss it by an inch like he did against LSU and Florida as well? Yeah, that's probably not a rein in. That's just a repetition and experience thing. It's not, trying to make a flash play as much as it is just it happens. You make mistakes as players and you grow from those mistakes. Nobody cares more about playing well than he does. And as a coach, you have to be sure that it's not, you correct the mistake, not the behavior or the person. I think that's really important in his case. He's made that play 1,000 times. He's just got to make that play at the moment.
All right, Seth, getting closer to game time. How was yesterday's practice? Last real physical one for y'all.
Yesterday was great, just for the simple fact of, honestly, there was a lot of good energy. Got out there competing. I feel like we knocked out a lot of situational football, so it was good.
All right, the number one question I'm getting, Bloody Tuesdays. Explain this to the common folks. Don't tell me just inside run. Describe inside run, Cedric.
Inside run, it's intense. It's guys that you know are your brother, but at the same time you're trying to rip the head off. And it's all for the benefit of the team. So it's one of those things where I guess you would call it like a brotherly rivalry. But genuinely it's intense. You're scrapping for every yard. You're fighting, you're pushing. There have been a few fights, there have been a few, scraps and things like that because things get so heated. But it's something that at the end of the day, you go back to it, you look at it, it's what makes us who we are.
I mean, you're from Warren Easton, obviously a big program out there in New Orleans. Was there a wake-up moment like, oh, damn, I'm in college football now? Like, was there ever a moment like that at Georgia's practices?
Yeah.
Who was it?
I think it was Zion. For the first time in my life, I fell on my back. Yeah. And I was like, that's not supposed to happen. Yeah. What is that? So I think he caught me on like a pass rush rep. Bad technique. Yeah. He literally just touched my shoulder and I just toppled over. And it was just bad. I was like so embarrassed. Like I couldn't sleep for like a week. It was bad.
Now I saw Coach Searles over here before your media availability continuing to coach you up. It doesn't stop, does it?
Nah. Always talking. I was texting him last night about a few things. Just trying to make sure that we're all on the same page. But he was kind of just talking to me about a few things that we kind of want to make sure that we're good on.
For sure. Appreciate you, Cedric. Get the silly one out of the way. How you feeling? We good?
Yeah, all those questions gotta go to Coach Smart, so that's just our
Say less. Let's talk about the season. Kind of stepping into more of a Z receiver role, kind of being the number 2 to the number 1. When AD goes down, do you feel like there's a certain, responsibility for you to pick those things up?
I mean, I don't really feel like it's all on me. I feel like it's kind of on the whole receiving grade. So, I mean, we did a good job of that. Injuries happen. We can't really do anything about it. So, I mean, yeah, we all had to kind of step in and maybe play a little different role, but we're excited to have him back. He's awesome. And if we would have had him all year, I feel like it would have been tremendous.
So talk about your progression from high school to where you are now. Just, I mean, physically first. Yeah. You go from a 5'11", 155 pound maybe? Something like that to where we're standing today. Maybe a little smaller today. While also not really playing receiver. Kind of just being a football player. So talk about the physical development that's happened at Georgia as well as the refinement in your skill set.
Yeah, I mean, once I got here, I feel like they did a great job. I put on like 20 pounds, I feel like that. And it was good weight, I feel like, for the most part. So, yeah, our strength staff, our coaches, I feel like they've all done a great job of just kind of getting me ready and helping me transition slowly.
And as far as the refinement in the skill set, like, you obviously have become a better route runner. You've become a better football player.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like that goes to like my coaches, to the players here before me, to the DBs that were here. Like, if you're not getting better, then they're gonna make you look bad. So I feel like that was kind of what I was trying to do. Like, I gotta, to be able to play with these guys, I gotta keep improving, keep getting better, and just working on my craft.
How's the preparation been this week?
Yeah, I mean, it's been good. I feel like all our guys are ready, all our coaches are ready. feel like we're going to have a great game plan, so just go out there and do it.
Sounds good. How are you? I'm here with Warren McClendon. I know you're going to defer this question to Coach Smart, but how are we feeling today?
Feeling good.
Yeah, feeling good. All right, so let's talk about the matchup in particular. A variety of defensive ends, some longer guys maybe than we're particularly seeing, particularly against like LSU, where you got like a B.J. Ojolari who's kind of like a twitchy guy, right? Now we're facing these guys from Ohio State, much longer. Talk about, I guess, the difference in the matchup, if you could.
Oh yeah, you know, LSU had good defensive ends, and Ohio State they have some good defensive ends too. With number 9 and 44, and they also got 33. You know, they're very good. We've been watching them on film, and they play. You know, they like to play with their hands. They're good with their hands, so just preparing for that.
Let's talk a little bit about your teammate Amarius. You see him come in as a freshman. You know, has some things going on last spring. Steps away for a little bit, comes back. Talk about just the maturation, I guess, in his process as a football player.
Oh yeah, you know, Mills, especially with me being one of the older players, I've really got to see him grow up and mature. So just seeing him just become a student of the game and him just getting better every day and every week, and I'm very proud of him. You know, he's become a good player. I trust him.
For sure. Talk about, you know, when you got guards moving in and out, you know, Tate banged up a little bit this year, you know, trying to get Willock in there, Truss moving in and out. When guys are moving in and out and around you, is there any difference when they come in, or is it building on that 10,000 hour theory where I've played next to this guy a lot, I'm comfortable with my practice reps, things like that? I guess what's the difference?
It's definitely built in on that. You know, Coach Smart and Coach Rose, they do a good job making sure everybody gets reps next to each other and always switching up the line just in case for the game. So, you know, definitely have faith that whoever's coming in next to them to get their job done.
Brock, game week, how do you feel if you're ready? Or obviously you probably feel as if you're ready.
Oh yeah, I mean everyone's kind of antsy, just ready to go, just because we've been waiting so long to play and just preparing for so long.
Now I spoke to you during your recruitment in high school, okay, coming out of Napa Valley. I want to ask you now, what's it like? I asked you then, what's it like being recruited by Todd Hartley? What's it like playing for Todd Hartley?
I mean, he teaches us so much, like on the field and off the field, I mean he just so obviously wants the best for all of us, so that's always nice, and we all know that he pushes us every single day.
Now you guys got a really crowded room in that tight end room, but there's a lot of different skill sets. I guess kind of walk through the room and kind of tell us, you know, what everyone kind of provides.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with Goaty. This is kind of like our leader, and like he kind of keeps everyone's head on straight throughout every day. And then we have Del. He's always bringing something new, and I mean, he's kind of like a mix between me and Darnell, I guess. Like he can get out and move pretty good, but I mean, he's also tough enough to get in there. And then Darnell is just a beast. He's just huge, road breaks people, and yeah, is that like
What's the last question? What's the key to beating Ohio State Saturday, at least offensively, for you guys?
Yeah, we have to just be physical and dominant on scrimmage, and I think that goes for every game. So I think that's our main key.
All right, yo, Smile, Mondon, Smile. I remember doing your commitment video coming out of Paulding County High School, and part of the reason I believe you chose Georgia was the linebacker development. Okay, Coach Schumann in particular, the ability for him to take a raw prospect like you were in high school and make you a refined football player. Where do you think you are in that progress, that transition?
I think I'm really a long ways from the beginning, but still a long ways to go though. But I think Coach Schumann definitely helped me make big strides in the game.
What do you think I guess the changes in the tone of like the coaching, maybe from like when Lanning was there and then his departure and when Shu and Coach Muschamp start taking over and being more of like a lead voice in that room? Did anything change?
What's the biggest thing? Of course, they got different personalities, and you gonna coach like whatever your coaching personality is, it's gonna come out. So,
yeah.
Coach Landon's personality and Coach Schu's personality, it's definitely different, but it's both. You know, they both work.
All right, let's talk about the Ohio State matchup in particular. They're a football team that obviously likes to chunk it, but they predicated on running football, running the ball over 200 yards per game. What's the key to stopping the run on Saturday first?
I think just stick to the game plan and play physical, really strike blocks, just play unselfish.
Was there like a moment where like you started like I guess playing faster this season, playing more confident? Is there a point in the season where you felt like, all right, things are clicking now? Because it's your first year starting. I think people sometimes forget that. You know, you're a redshirt freshman. You're not somebody that's had 30 starts. This was the first year at it.
I feel like maybe when I came back from my ankle injury in October, I feel like I started playing better. I feel like it was like a noticeable change in my game. I wouldn't necessarily say noticeable, but I feel like it started like going up.
I bet the grades started going up. Yeah, the film grades started going up. That was noticeable. All right, first off, let's knock the business out of the way. How do we like, subscribe, rate, and review to Talking with Tate and Talking with the Boys? What is it? Give me the full name of the podcast, the YouTube channel, Real Talk.
Rylan Goody and Tate Rowledge.
There you go. What can fans expect from Real Talk?
A lot of deeper look at players. We've had a lot of players on there, so it's more into their personal lives is what I would describe it as. Like the quarterback episode, we just talk. It's just a good time, not specifically about football or anything, but we have a lot of cool guests on and a lot of cool interviews.
All right, let's talk football. Midway through the year, I think you were dealing with a shoulder injury. I think Kentucky, it really peaked for you. Where are we at with that, and is it something that's kind of been lingering and you've just been biting the tongue on?
It's just been dealing with it.
Yeah.
Nothing serious, just pain. But other than that, we're pushing through it.
It's just pain. You kind of scoff that off because that's what football does. Talk about, the physicality that requires to play this game and kind of the mental toughness that it requires.
I think physicality is a big part of this, especially here. We pride ourselves on that, and I think if you don't have it, then you can't play here. But mentally, I think it's something you have to work on when you get to college, just because when you get here, you're just not ready for it.
Yeah.
But as the years go on, you kind of get more mentally tougher, and you kind of just learn to put up with things, and it's not that big of a deal.
Let's talk about the matchup on Saturday. What is something you've learned from your film studies and takeaways about specifically their defensive tackles and then maybe the second level as well, guys that you'll be dealing with in close combating?
They all play really hard, play with great pad level, great technique. It's going to be a great matchup, I think, and even at the second level, both their linebackers play really hard, both downhill guys.
Appreciate you. I'm here with Tyke Smith. Tyke, I remember seeing you at the Elite 11 opening out there in California. I think it was 2020? 2021, the summer right as you were transferring in from West Virginia to Georgia. How's the transition been, man? It's been a long road. It's been 2 years and some real hills to climb.
So definitely a blessing overcoming the injuries last year, and then this year just finally getting out there and being able to help the team the best way as possible.
So it's a big week for the defensive backs. I'm sure you guys have been talking about it. What's been the overall message in that room this week?
Just following the game plan. Everybody playing hard, trying their best. Next play mentality, just not getting down. You feel me?
I mean, it's easy to say play the next play,
right?
But when you get bombed on, what's going through the mind of a corner? Talk about that.
Basically relying on your teammates to kind of keep you up, keep your head up high, and then next play so you won't lose no confidence. So at DB, the biggest thing is confidence.
It's almost impossible to think about the last snap against a football team like this. I say they play with on-the-ball pace. They're constantly on the ball. You don't know if they're going to hard count, but they could snap at any point. Talk about the pace. How have y'all gone about practicing that, particularly the hard count, man? Y'all can't be jumping off sides this week.
So yeah, just basically that's the discipline part. Trying to hurry up, get linebacker up, get the call, and see what they in, and being able to adjust to whatever they come out in. Like I said, being disciplined.
So you playing that star position, you're kind of getting coached up by a lot of guys, right? I'm sure Coach Smart's got his hand in that room, Coach Muschamp's got his hand in that room, and Coach Brown's got his hand in that room. Who's kind of the voice of the star room? Who kind of coaches you guys the most?
Coach Muschamp, definitely Coach Muschamp. But just being able to take something from all of them and then kind of put it together where you best understand it. So they do a good job of that to make you successful.
I always like to say, and I always tell people this, the star position at Georgia is by far the hardest to learn from a schematical standpoint, because you got to know the run support. You got to tell about all the responsibilities to a common listener. To walk it through.
Definitely at start, just being able to, first of all, you got to be able to come cover on the slot, come set an edge. Might have to take on a lineman on GT counter. Might got to close on a counter, and then basically just knowing run gets. If a linebacker boss over, because sometimes you might have to be in a box, and then you got to know what run gets you got. So definitely a lot to learn.
Yeah, it's not your standard nickel here at Georgia, is it?
Hey, you better maybe ready to have your mouthpiece in.
I'm here with Xavier Truss. Xavier, people are probably going to ask you this a lot today, but what went into the mental aspect of waiting your time to be on the field and to really get a start and role and opportunity to be the guy?
So obviously, man, that was really tough, part of the whole process of just being here for me. And I think just having my brothers have my back and just trusting in Coach Smart and the university and trusting in myself for my own work, I knew that when the time was right, obviously, you know, I got some game time here and there. I got the Cincinnati Bowl start, but that stuff all helped me kind of get comfortable into the mindset of playing. And I just knew that, you know, when my time was ready, I'd be able to hop in whenever that was. It was just all about being patient.
Are you the best football player to come out of Rhode Island?
I've heard that. I've heard that myself, you know, but that would be really cool if it's true.
You're certainly the first Georgia player to ever come out of Rhode Island, aren't you?
Yeah, for sure. I'm pretty positive I am.
Talk about that transition, just coming from like super far northeast, coming down here. What was that first summer like?
That was the summer. The first summer down here was the biggest transition for me. Just getting kind of acclimated to the heat, I think, was number one. Maybe not so much the heat, but the humidity was a really big deal, and just making sure that I could get myself conditioned so that I could perform, you know, whenever the temperature was. That was big. I think overall it's just a huge culture shock, but it was something that kind of helped me grow as a person, and I'm really glad I made the decision to come down here because, you know, this is the best brand of ball, SEC, down south, at Georgia, so I'm glad I made the decision to come.
Appreciate it. I'm here with Kenny McIntosh. Kenny, I want to ask specifically about the Missouri game. I think you were dealing with a thigh bruise or something. You were pretty banged up. And you go out there and like through the third quarter, you were the offense. They were handing you the rock. Y'all pulled off in the middle of the third quarter. Talk about playing through pain and playing through maybe some injury and maybe some pain like that.
Kirby always mentioned, you know, we don't have injuries though playing this game. Football is physical, but you gotta be strong mentally and physically as well too, but definitely mentally. So that pain really I just blocked out. So my team, I knew we was going to dog fight. My team needed me. I knew we needed to run the ball to get it on the middle ball. So I think I know what play you're talking about. I just, that really, after that play, I thought the middle just changed.
For sure.
Just fed off the ran with that. And just playing through pain is just, you know, something Kirby always, I don't want to say what he be saying during practice, but he always tell us like that's just soft. That's soft.
Yeah.
Like that, especially if it's a minor injury or anything like that. My quad, of course, that's a big deal, something like that. But as the week went on, my brain was blind. If I can run,
what do you think that says to NFL scouts when they look at Kenny McIntosh and they say, hey, dude can take some carries?
I say a lot because I don't have a few of them, but I'm still, I'm not going to jinx myself.
Yeah.
But I don't play every game and shit. I just stay young and be able to be healthy on Saturday.
What's the key to success on Saturday? First for Kenny and as well for the offense.
For me, just preparation, and also the offense preparation. We got a lot of plays. The more repetition you get, you know, the easier it's going to be. You don't have to think about it when you can't talk. It's like a reaction. You know what to react to that pretty fast. Yeah, preparation definitely throughout the week.
Appreciate you, kid. All right, I'm here with Marcus Jackson. Marcus, first kind of year really like stepping into a major role since your freshman year and kind of getting away from the injury. How do you feel like you've settled in as the years progressed?
I felt I settled in very well, especially for like the offense game plan. The game plan for me for the offense. I mean, everybody has a role to play, so I feel like I play my role the best I can, whatever that is. So I feel like as the year going on, I feel like I've contributed more to the team, and I've been more, I guess, more in the winning role.
Yeah.
Right.
So recruited by Cortez Hankton, signed by Cortez Hankton, now playing obviously for Coach McClendon.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what are the differences? I mean, what are the differences between the two, and what has Coach McClendon brought to the room?
They're both great coaches. I learned a lot from Coach Chic before he left, and when Coach B-Mac came in, he came in. At first, I ain't gonna lie. At first, when he first came in, I knew like out the gate, like he knew that like this man knows what he's talking about. So I knew that I'll be learning a lot more from Coach B-Mac. He's a real good coach. He's honest about our academic stuff, about not only football stuff but life stuff off the field, and he's a really good because he demands the most from us, that he just wants to see us build and grow as our young man.
Now, with you guys being a run-heavy offense built off play action, how much as a receiver do you really have to buy into blocking? And I've seen the high school tape. I know it was there back in St. Aquinas States, but talk about buying as a blocker first.
I mean, that's just something. If you play receiver, that's just something that comes with that position. I mean, they be saying it all the time. If you want the ball, you got to block. So I mean,
no block, no rock.
No, exactly, no ball, no rock. So if you're not blocking on the perimeter for your running backs or whoever get the ball, I mean, you don't really deserve to get the ball because that's just being selfish. So you gotta be selfless. And it's a team sport, so you're trying to make other people. Everybody got to eat. So if you gotta make a block, you gotta block. You gotta go crack that linebacker or that safety. You don't really feel like going to crack him. It's not about you. It's about whoever who's about that running back who's coming to that hole, or that tight end that's getting that flat route that you need to go get that block for him. So it's just it's just a mentality thing. It's a want to thing.
Appreciate you. I'm here with Kamari. Kamari, I want to talk about first year starting. Okay, obviously go through a year of kind of learning the system and learning how to become an SEC football player. What do you think the first year has been like for you?
I'd say last year playing with guys like DK. Keeley, Speed was here last year. Those older guys, seeing how they play the game, seeing how they, work the technique, seeing how they play leverage, use their help. It kind of, helped me, go into this year. I had my hiccups, start off the year, just getting a feel for how fast the game is. But I think I've tried to progress each game and step on the mistakes I made.
All right, it's a big matchup this weekend. Really tough test for all you guys. I guess, how do you prepare for a variety of different looks that you're going to get? You're going to get a guy, Marvin Harrison, who's, big, tall, long, can do it kind of all. You're going to get a guy, Numeka Boka, who might be, in a different spot all over across the field. How do you prepare for a variety of different super talented receivers?
Basically, you got to start out with the film study, look at tendencies, look at how they play, and then after that, you got to go out and practice field, work the technique, work the plays, work the calls, just really have a lot of intentional detail.
So, when you're getting, I talked to Tyke about this just a second ago, but when you get beat as a corner, okay, and not necessarily beat like on a slant underneath, I'm talking about when you get beat over the top, okay, when you're not supposed to be beaten, what's going through the mind, what's racing through the mind during that moment?
During that moment, it's natural to be like, you want that play back like, oh man, you want to harp on it, and at the same time, you got another play coming in probably 10, 15 seconds later, and you got 10 guys on the field counting on you, and then you got the whole sideline, the whole state of Georgia, and everybody else counting on you to play the next play. So, that's one thing that I've had to work on, is just playing the next play, whether it's good or bad, not staying on too high, too low.
What's the key to success Saturday, both for Kamari and for the defense?
For us, I just say we just got to play together, play as a unit, stay composed, stay tough, and just all buy into playing.